If you're a small business wanting to grow by selling your cloud services to the public sector, now is the perfect time because the UK government has officially announced the launch of its framework, G-Cloud 15. So G-Cloud, the G stands for government by the way, was created to help UK public sector organisations move their IT and digital services into the cloud, hence the name. And 15, well, is just the version number. It's the platform that public sector organisations can use to buy their cloud services, things like software, hosting or support. The site or online shop that they use for it is called the Digital Marketplace, and the way it works is in order to become a listed supplier, you have to show you meet certain criteria and standards. And to do this, you have to respond to the G-Cloud 15 tender. And it's this tender stage that has just opened up. So what happens after that? Well, if you pass this stage, it means you've been approved and you're going to be added to the G-Cloud framework, which means your services will be listed on the Digital Marketplace, their online shop for G-Cloud services, ready for when public sector organisations need to, well, go shopping. So if your business, and this includes small businesses, voluntary and community enterprises, if your business offers any of these things, you have until 3 p.m. on the 30th of January to apply. And if you get through, you're going to be listed as a supplier for 4 years. Now, it's quite a chunky tender pack, so you're definitely going to need to start early. Trust me, just reading the documents will take a while, and that's before you even start to respond. Now, there's a few things to note. Frameworks. You've got to think of a framework as a list of trusted suppliers that an organisation can buy from later on. The buyer will still run a mini competition for each contract, but only those approved suppliers can bid. But because they've been approved, it's a much faster and simpler process. So you need to be aware that being on the framework doesn't guarantee you'll get any work. It just means you're allowed to be considered when work comes up because you've passed that initial tender stage. The supplier fees. Suppliers have to pay 0.75% of whatever they charge the buyer for any work they do through G-Cloud. So basically, every time a supplier gets paid for a G-Cloud contract, they give 0.75% of that amount, excluding VAT, to the Crown Commercial Service, which is basically the government's procurement department. It's kind of like an admin or management fee for running the framework. So, for example, if you invoice £10,000 before VAT, you'll pay £75 to CCS. Then there's lots. Lots are just categories that group similar types of cloud services together. Not only do they help buyers find what they need more easily, but they also help suppliers know where their service fits when they apply. G-Cloud 15 has 5 lots, which cover cloud hosting for high security systems, cloud-based software, and cloud support. Now, when you're completing your tender, you'll need to choose the lot that best matches what your business offers. So there you go. If your business offers G-Cloud services, you need to check out G-Cloud 15. Like I said, it doesn't promise instant work, but it's a great way to get your foot in the door with the public sector. So let's take a look at what you need to do. But before I do, if you need support on how to complete the tender, head over to my website, thetendercoach.com, and book a call to discuss how I can make the process a whole lot easier for you. Now let's take a look about how you go about applying for G-Cloud 15. So the announcement is on the Find a Tender site. So we're going to start there. We're going to search for G-Cloud 15. And if you do this without deselecting any of the filters under the procurement stage, you're going to see 2 results for G-Cloud 15. You're going to want the one that has the publication date of the 24th of October, as this is the actual tender announcement, which means it's going to have the full details about the bidding and the link you're going to need. The other one falls under the planning stage, which just gives a heads up about what would have been an upcoming customer engagement session. So let's click the one that we want. And so this is the formal announcement about the opportunity. I suggest you read the information here, and when you're ready, scroll down to submission address and special instructions and click the link. And this brings you to the Digital Marketplace, which is what I mentioned is like the public sector's online shop for cloud services. At the top, you'll notice it says that you will need to register on the Central Digital Platform, which is the Find a Tender site, before you can bid for G-Cloud. So if you haven't done so, you'll need to do that first. And you can check out in this video to learn how to do that. Once you've done that, you can come back to this page and select Become a Supplier. The next page gives a brief rundown on what services you can currently apply to sell. Providing your business offers one of the services they list, you can go ahead and create a Digital Marketplace supplier account. If your service isn't listed and it falls under those listed as not being open to applications, you can ask to be notified about when those applications are opening. Now for this example, we'll say that we do offer services that are open for applications, so I'm going to click that link to create my digital marketplace supplier account. If you have all the information to hand, creating an account is pretty quick, but it's only quick if you already have a DUNS number. If you don't already have one, you can check out this video to learn how to get one. It's free, but it can take a few days to come through. Okay, so I've got mine, so I'm going to hit start. And as you can see, this is where you'll need that DUNS number. And if you're not sure if you have one or can't remember what it is, you can check via this link. I'm just going to enter mine here. Enter my company details. Now, quick tip on email address. I recommend using a group email address here. That way, if someone is away or leaves your company, you can still access your account. So I've used my info@ email address for this very reason. And then hit create. Then you'll receive a note to say you have received an email with a link to activate your account. And there you have it. You've created your digital marketplace account. Now let's take a look at the G-Cloud 15 application. And here it is. First off, don't be fooled by this page. This is just a summary page for what is a whole heap of questions and documents that sit behind it. And you'll notice each one has a status of whether or not you've completed it or if it's in progress. I'm going to click through each of these so you can see the type of questions that sit behind each section. So confirm company details. This part connects with your supplier profile in the central digital platform or the Find a Tender site. To connect the two together, you need to generate a share code from your supplier profile. You can check out how to do that in this video. And all that information will be pulled through. It will ask for some additional information outside of what's included in your supplier profile, so you'll need to update that. Okay, moving on. Make your supplier declaration. Now this section is basically a set of short questions, many of which are yes/no answers, that check your company's details, legal status, ethics, social value commitments, all that kind of stuff. And they're basically proving you're a legitimate, responsible business that meets all of the government standards to join G-Cloud 15. Next, we've got add, edit and complete services. So this is where you state the services your business offers. So first of all, you need to select which lot it falls under. Then you add a service under that lot. You give it a name. Then you have a series of questions, 65 to be exact, that you need to answer about that specific service. But be warned, they state 65 questions, but some of these have a series of questions behind them. So it's actually even more. So once you're done, you've got to mark it as complete, and you need to do this for each service. And then you've got the Financial Viability Risk Assessment. So this is a tool used by the government to check how financially stable a supplier is. So in other words, it's a way of making sure that a company can afford to deliver a contract without running into trouble. Then you've got Technical Ability Certificate, and this is basically a reference. It asks you to pick a recent contract where you did similar work, fill in the details such as contract name, date, services delivered. Then the buyer uses that information to decide if you're technically capable of doing the job. And when you submit these, the TAC status will be marked as pending. Then there's answer quality and award questions. And this is where suppliers prove their cloud services meet G-Cloud's technical quality and security standards, covering things like ISO certifications and cyber essentials. And then the last section of your application is the pricing. It pretty much is what it is, a number of questions around your pricing and pricing formulas. So filling everything that they ask and hit save. And then finally, underneath your application summary, you have the application messages. And this is where you can submit your clarification questions to the customer. Then there's the tender documents themselves. Now you can see I wasn't joking about it being some hefty reading. Some of these are referred to within the application questions, and they will need to be completed and uploaded as part of your application. And finally, there's the full set of clarification questions that have been raised to date along with the answers, or at least those that have been answered to date. The number of questions are totting up every day, so be sure you constantly keep an eye on these, as the answers could impact how you do something. And once you've uploaded your services, answered all the questions and taken into account the clarification responses, that's it, you're done. Then it's just a waiting game. So there you have it, the G-Cloud 15 tender application. So if you were looking for something to keep you busy from now until the end of January, this could do the trick. So good luck. And if this video has helped you with your G-Cloud application, let me know in the comments below.